Hi everybody, welcome back. It's December 9th, 2023, and once again we're back on the moon with the Worldwide Telescope. In my last video I mentioned that Ben Pellom had made another discovery on the moon, and it's in this area called Oceanus Procellarum. And this is one of the mares of the moon, and a mare is I don't know if you say mare or mar, but anyway, it is a term which stands for sea. And it's a very large area. Oceanus Procellarum is the largest mare on the moon, and from north to south it runs 1,600 miles. And the reason this is so important is because when we've been looking at the north and south poles in the dark craters, we get a lot of data out of those dark craters. But whenever we look at the brighter areas, not so. The obfuscation is very, very difficult. And so for whatever reason, there's a different kind of obfuscation going on in the darker areas, and it does allow us opportunities to get more data out of them. Now you notice these strips here, and originally I thought this was a mosaic. NASA will take pictures of something that's very large and take many, many pictures and stitch them together and create an image, and they call that a mosaic. But actually, I think these strips are really from obfuscation, and so the lighter strips, just like the lighter areas of the moon, show less data than some of these darker strips. And so I'm just concentrated on this one area here right in the middle of Oceanus Procellarum, and we've got some pretty good pictures, coming out of that. There's some real surprises here. I don't think I'm ever surprised anymore, but some good confirmations, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Now that was a picture of the North Pole, no, the South Pole of the moon, and some of these dark craters. It shows what they look like. Now these dark craters have in them what we have been calling bars, and bars is a type of construction word, and we don't see that at all so far in the Oceanus Procellarum area. So no bars. However, there is construction here, and it's in the whole area of Oceanus Procellarum. From top to bottom, there's construction, but there's no bars. And this is a lighter area here, and you can see it looks pretty blank. There's just not very much there to get out of that picture, versus something like this, quite different. And you can see on each side of this dark strip how blank it is, and yet this strip shows more data. Now why some of those strips are better than others, I don't know, but I don't care. I'll take it, whatever we can do to get some good pictures. But once again, this is comes back to the whole thing. I mean, just how in the hell is this possible? I mean, I have no explanation for how this is possible. This moon appears to be completely covered with structures, and we don't know anything about it. So anyway, we've seen this type of construction before. And there's what looks like a grid work, and the grid work is actually buildings. Everything is buildings, of course, and the white dots are the tops of the buildings, and the black dots are the shadows in between the buildings. And some buildings are taller than other buildings. Now in this grid work, your first thought is that these are starting out as short buildings, and they get taller as they go. But I think they're pretty tall to begin with, and that idea or that notion comes from when I'm looking in these darker areas where the grid has not filled in all the way. Those structures look pretty tall. All you see is the shadow side of them, but Anyway, you know, that's why I say, and I've often said, that you really need to hit the space bar or pause and observe what you're seeing here, because I'm here to tell you, you're staring right into the face of an alien city. But it's not just an alien city, it's an alien planet. It's a city planet is what it is, or a city moon, whatever. It's a globe that's covered with buildings. And this area, Oceanus Procellarum, is just one more huge example of the fact that the moon is covered with buildings. And we'll be able to get pictures from all over this whole area. And now that we know that that we need to, Ben really, I'm surprised we didn't think of it sooner, that Ben didn't think of it sooner to go to the other dark areas on the moon. But now we know. And so we can go to these areas and get pictures from all over. Now down at the bottom, you see a red line. And I'm going to show you how this area is put together. And it starts out with a row of lower buildings, then it runs into a tall one, and then it's another row of taller buildings until it runs into another tall building. And then and that's the way it goes. So the row of buildings down at the very bottom are much shorter than the ones at the top, but I think they're all pretty tall. I mean, in Earth terms, I imagine these ones that are shorter are easily as tall as our largest buildings on Earth. So it goes, they make these levels. And then they have these other vertical buildings, large vertical buildings, and everything here in all of these large vertical buildings, you have shadow on the left side and light on the right side. Every one of them, every building has this. And so shadow is all important, because shadow tells you that this is not image artifacts, that it is indeed a picture of something. And we know obviously what we're not looking at. I've said this before. We're not looking at regolith. We're not looking at rocks. We're not looking at digital artifacts. I'm not sure what that leaves. I think it just leaves what's actually there. So just kind of a random picture on the right hand side of this. You can see it where it's a little bit lighter, how it's a little less data, and then you go down to the bottom right corner where it's bright, and there's even less data in that picture. So this obfuscation, I believe, that goes down, that they've put down, is all done by computer. And if they wanted to really do a good job, they should have had somebody go back and proof it, make sure it did what they wanted to do. But I don't think they did it. So that's good for us. That's the good news. The bad news is this isn't going to last forever. The more people that start seeing this, that start using these pictures, they're going to go back and obfuscate it again, I'm sure. We have been waiting for new pictures from the Webb telescope to come up onto the worldwide telescope, but we haven't seen that yet. Now this area here has some very large buildings right in the middle. We have all of our usual things that we've been looking at, the grid patterns and the tall skinny buildings. Excuse me. But this has some nice large, very large, very, very large buildings. In comparison to those very large skyscrapers, these are quite huge. I would say, 4, 5, 6 times larger than many of those skyscrapers. Probably more than that. Now here's a amazing looking pattern. And the thing about these patterns is that all they are grid work that's not filled in yet. if you fill in all the rest of the blanks, because everything lines up in these patterns, and if you were to fill everything in with what's partially there, it would just be a simple grid work. Couple tall buildings right in the middle here. Yeah. Now I've really leaned heavily on the contrast in these pictures. It does seem to bring it out, and it does seem to give us a little more clarity. Now the obfuscation that's in this area is different than all of the other obfuscation we've looked at or had to deal with before. So this is a new learning curve for me on this area, and so I'll be working on it. I'll be working on getting it cleared up, and maybe not quite so much contrast. But this is amazing. I mean, these, when you look at this, what happens in your mind? Is it just writing on the wall? Is it just artwork? Or can you actually see the city and what's going on here? And this is just one small area of Oceanus Procellarum. So this is all over. This is Alien City, folks. I would beg anybody to tell me that it's something different. I mean, if it's not Alien City, then I want to hear what you think it is. But you'd be hard-pressed to convince me that it's anything other than an alien planet, an alien moon, an alien city, alien moon city. That's what we have. And, all we have are these pictures. How come we don't know anything about this? How can this possibly be? Maybe the folks that have been covering this up, and I'm talking about the people from the moon, if they wanted us to see it, we would have seen it a long time ago. They don't want us to see it. The cover-up starts there. It is a grand illusion. Every night or many nights of the week, the moon is center stage, and these folks up there turn on the show, and it is a grand illusion. Everything up there is designed to be an illusion. I know how crazy that sounds. I can't believe the words coming out of my mouth. I can't come up with any other explanation. We have everything we need as far as all of the factors that tell us what civilization is. It's all here. So, this is a lonely place to be for me and for Ben. We know what we're looking at. We know what's there, but boy, oh boy, pretty hard to convince people of that. I understand that, and it's. I want to say I'm not trying to convince people of it, but I guess I am, because this is what I think is there. I would stand in front of a truck. I would walk in front of a train if it would help prove, that this is there. I don't know what I can say. But it's when we look at pictures like this, it's just so intricate. Just right of center is a diamond shape there. This is a concentric line. And I've said in the past, we've seen a lot of concentric lines from the North and the South Pole, and we knew that they spread down from there, but they were hard to find because of the light color of the moon and the obfuscation. But thanks to Ben looking at Oceanus Procellarum in the darkest area, we can also see now the concentric lines, and I think there's got to be at least 100 of them from one pole to the next. Pardon me. And top left here, or not quite top left, this is a crater, and I've been saying that that the craters are artificial as well, and we've seen this from a number of previous images that we've had on video. And while these pictures of some of these craters are a little seem a little iffy, they do look like we're seeing structures instead of craters. Now here's a good example of the obfuscation we're talking about. In this light area here in this crater, there's absolutely nothing to see. You're not going to see anything out of there. But if you look in the dark area, well, there's things to be seen there. So this is just kind of a FYI on how this obfuscation works. It works really, really well in the light areas and not so much in the dark areas. Same thing here. There's 2 more craters. And by the way, you know, a crater doesn't have to be a crater, right? It can just be coloration on the surface. We wouldn't know the difference. And I think much of the time this is what we have, that they're not actually craters. It's just colored buildings put in the right way. So white light on one side, dark on the other, like you would expect to see a crater with the sun coming from an oblique angle. And so from a distance, it creates the illusion of craters. So, you know, on the other hand, I've seen what are supposed to be pictures of the moon that show what look like craters. But, I just really don't know what to trust from our friends at NASA. I do. The things to trust from them are nothing. They lie about everything and things they don't even need to lie about. So those pictures that we think we've seen of the moon that show craters, I don't know. Is that real? I don't know. It doesn't jive with this, that's for sure, and it doesn't jive with other images from other sources. So incredible looking craters, we'll just call them craters, but they definitely are built up, and we can't see all of them. Some are pretty small, but there's in my estimation, you can pretty clearly see the structures, and so I'll commit. I think they're there. We've seen it before so many times. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the video. Bye now.